Thank you. The city clerk will now read the closed session items into the record and note any public speakers on these items. Clerk, please proceed.
Yes, and we do have at least 2 hours of public testimony on the closed session, too. I'm going to read the items into the record and also just suggest if folks hear their positions stated to perhaps consider truncating testimony just so that council can go into closed session and actually deliberate on the item. The items are CS1, Carlos McManus, Sr. versus City of San Diego et al. That's Conference of Legal Counsel existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9D1 and Conference of Legal Counsel anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9D4, and that's CS2 State of Washington versus Donald Trump et al. Again, there's at least 2 hours of public testimony here at 2 minutes apiece, so folks can have it in their minds that they'll have 2 minutes, and if they hear what they feel like saying, they can just concur. We start with Imam Taha, who's part of an organized presentation, and Imam Taha has time seated by Anna Shayo, Geraldine Gakau, Christy Hill, Pamela Rode, Mitch Yonker, Len Walker, Griselda Ramirez, Marlene Balderas, Sandra Rodriguez, Sean Elo. You will have 15 minutes. Imam, please come forward. You have 15 minutes. I'll put on the clock. You should manage your own time. Hud Collins will be our next speaker, so please prepare yourself, and then you'll be followed by Carol Kim.
Imam Taha Hassan is the lead speaker, the head of the Islamic Center of San Diego. This happens to be the mosque where 2 of the 9/11 terrorists prayed regularly, the ones who flew the plane into the Pentagon. Members of this mosque also aided the terrorists financially. See the video description for links.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum and peace be with you all. My name is Taha Hassan. I'm the Imam and Director of the Islamic Center of San Diego, which is the largest mosque in San Diego County. And I'm also a board member with the ICWJ Interfaith Center for Worker Justice of San Diego County. And I'm happy and proud to consider Councilman Chris Cate as my representative for District 6. Dear San Diego City Council members, we, the undersigned civil society and business organizations, urge the City Council, the San Diego City Council to join the City of Chicago in filing an amicus brief in State of Washington versus Donald Trump to denounce the U.S. government's suspension of refugee admissions and its unconstitutional ban on admission of citizens of 7 Muslim majority countries. The executive order that established these policies violates fundamental principles of human rights and bedrock tenets of constitutional law, and it betrays our values as nation of immigrants and as San Diegans. Its implementation has had cruel and arbitrary consequences for many people fleeing persecution or seeking to enter the United States to reunite with family, receive medical treatment, or pursue professional and educational opportunities. San Diego has a profound interest in this matter, as a significant number of San Diegans are directly impacted. We are an international metropolitan region. Cross-border travel and trade are vital to our economic and social well-being. We are on the front line of the immigration issue, and we have the nation's 4th highest population of residents from the 7 countries named in the travel ban. San Diego has a uniquely knowledgeable perspective, and we must be of one voice in saying that this executive order harms our community, undermines its values, and threatens our shared future. Last week, the Court of Appeals unanimously upheld the temporary injunction on enforcing this ill-conceived executive order. While not a final resolution to the matter, the opinion is a clear indicator of deeply flawed policies. The Ninth Circuit opinion is unambiguous that the executive order offers startlingly little clarity regarding the ways authorities may interpret it and implemented it, how many people may be affected by it, and in what ways. There is no guidance whatsoever as to what new restrictions may follow the initial bans. In light of the urgency and uncertainty of its resolution, we urge the San Diego City Council to sign on the Amicus brief. Many of our nation's big city mayors are speaking out against this executive order. Mayors in Boston, Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle, among others, have issued statements and joined protests to denounce the order and to support immigrants and refugees. There comes a time when silence is betrayal, said the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. It is imperative that San Diego not remain silent. We urge the City Council to approve signing on this important amicus brief, sincerely. And here are the organizations in San Diego who signed on this letter and statement. ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties, Activist San Diego, Alliance for African Assistance, Alliance for Californians for Community Empowerment, Alliance San Diego, American Friends Service Committee San Diego, Anti-Defamation League, ADL, Casa Cornelia, Center for Policy Initiative, CPI, Climate Action Campaign, Council on American Islamic Relations, Employee Rights Center, Environmental Health Coalition, IBEW Local 465, Interfaith Center for Worker Justice of San Diego County, Islamic Center of San Diego, Jewish Family Services, Leichtag Foundation, Main Street Alliance, Mid-City CAN, New Americans Museum, Partnership for Advancement of New Americans, PANA, Pillars of the Community, San Diego chapter of the Japanese American Citizens League, San Diego chapter of the National Lawyers Guild, San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council, San Diego Building and Construction Trades Council, San Diego LGBT Community Center, San Diego Organizing Project, San Diego Psychological Association, SEIU 221, Showing Up for Racial Justice, San Diego. And in addition to these organizations, there are so many individuals, respected individuals, who signed on this letter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, we don't... Excuse me. You know, we will not be able to get... Hello. If you continue with the clapping, we will not be able to get to the rest of the speakers. So if you want to hear from the rest of the speakers, you will do this. Thank you.
HUD Collins is our next speaker. Mr. Collins is speaking on both CS1 and CS2. I'll give you 4 minutes on the clock to address both of those items, and then you'll be followed by Carol Kim, who's followed by Eva Posner. And please come forward when your name is called. There are seats in the front for speakers.
Yes, good morning to Council President, Council. I'll speak on both. CS1 first, existing litigation. City Attorney Elliott, on Friday I received a letter from the Superior Court regarding a suit that I had, Collins versus San Diego. It was on Prop B. Either the City Attorney's Office or the interveners failed to have this dismissed as I understood it should be. Now, since it is still existing, I have put in a request for dismissal, but it's still an active case. And I would say this here. Prop B was put before the voters as an amendment. It's not. It's a revision, and it's not authorized by the city in their charter. It's a revision, not an amendment. During that litigation, I was astounded by the fact that the city attorney's office and the interveners had a secret agreement. Secret agreement. They didn't tell me, or they didn't tell the court. That's chutzpah. That should never happen in litigation. We're attorneys, we're sworn by our ethics. That should never happen. And that agreement should be put forth to me immediately. I've asked Public Records Act requests, etc. Shameful. And further, Councilmember Kate, your organization, private organization, paid for Prop B. They hired the attorneys. That's inconceivable that a nonprofit would do that. Now, CS2, I must say this here. We have a new president, and he has full authority with regards, as far as 8 U.S.C. and various sections, including 1182, to do what he did. He put forth an executive order, and I would recommend to him at this point, withdraw that order and come up with some other executive orders that does exactly the same thing. I'm a member of the Ninth Circuit, along with the Supreme Court and 30 jurisdictions. The last amicus brief I did went before the California Supreme Court, and before you vote for any amicus brief against this action, you should have a debate in this city, because I'll tell you right now, Donald Trump won the election. He ran on the rule.
Please, you guys, respect the speaker.
He ran on the rule of law. I fought for this country. I have 3 medals for valor. Rule of law and borders and citizenship. Since when can anybody be in this city who's illegal? I don't understand it. Have the citizens of this city gone nuts? Why should anybody be here who is illegal? I don't understand it. You didn't fight for your country, whoever said that, I assure you. Now, once again, the president has full authority according to our Constitution. That's why he was elected. And that's why his order, I assure you the district court was wrong in the decision. The 3-member panel was wrong. They have 29 judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Apparently you can't count either. So once again, ma'am, before you make any decision on an amicus curiae brief, let the city debate about it. I assure you our citizens would be for our president and his actions. Thank you very much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Carol Kim is our next speaker, followed by Eva Posner, followed by Sean Van Diver. Please be respectful of all folks' opinions. Carol Kim has time ceded by Murtaza Baksamusa and Tom Lemon for a total of 6 minutes.
Good morning, council members, city attorney, and city staff. My name is Carol Kim, and I am here representing the 35,000 building and construction trades men and women of San Diego County. I am here to state that the San Diego building trades stand in solidarity with our immigrant and refugee communities in this time of challenge and uncertainty. Living and working in this region, it's nearly impossible not to be related in some way by family, by friendship, by neighborhoods, by the bonds of workplace to immigrant families who are at varying stages in the process of becoming Americans and who are suddenly vulnerable and at risk during this time. I am the daughter of Korean American immigrants who came to the United States after the Immigration Act of 1965 was passed. I am the daughter-in-law of Chinese Americans who struggled to reunite their family while the Chinese Exclusion Act was the law of the land up until 1942. I am the friend and sister of a Muslim American who is awaiting his naturalization interview after having spent years working towards justice for American workers and equity for their families. But even if I wasn't these things, I would be here speaking on this matter because it's imperative that we maintain our moral clarity and our American values as an inclusive and pluralistic society, that we respect the rights of our people enshrined in the Constitution, even or perhaps especially when it is politically costly or challenging to do so. We are all Americans together, living, working, and striving for our families and our communities, for ourselves and for each other. So I am here to urge you, as the elected leaders of this diverse and again, pluralistic community, this amazing city that is San Diego, to join the Amicus brief against the federal administration's immigration policies. Thank you.
Thank you. Eva Poser. Eva Poser.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, just please do this because we have a lot of speakers, and if we want to get through them, we will do this, okay? I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Eva Posner, followed by Sean Van Diver, followed by Roger Ogden.
Hi, everybody. You're all keenly aware of our thriving cross-border economy and all the small businesses and unique jobs that have been created and are sustained by the stunning diversity of our city. Those successes speak for themselves. But you speak for the people, the human beings at the center of this issue. San Diego is where hope becomes reality for thousands of refugees every year. Since the fall of Saigon, our city has been a place for families to find stability and safety and success after fleeing nightmares that most of us could never imagine. And that's a legacy to be proud of. These are families, just like the ones that you make promises to when you're campaigning. These are children, just like your sons and daughters and nieces and nephews and the happy little kids that play on the park that you just cut the ribbon to. When the administration targets Muslims, when it targets immigrants, when it targets refugees, make no mistake that it is targeting our people. It is targeting San Diegans. Every single one of you has residents in your district that need you to protect them right now. I was in the audience at the Balboa Theater when you were all sworn in. I heard all of you promise to protect and defend from all enemies, foreign and domestic. This ban is one of those domestic enemies. This ban not only tears at the fabric of the First Amendment, but at the very fabric of our community. And if we are indeed America's finest city, then we cannot stand idly by while our people live in fear. I'm here to ask you to join the Amicus brief against this ban and keep San Diego a bright spot on an ever more unpredictable map. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sean Van Diver, followed by Roger Ogden, followed by Karen Remus, followed by Bob Kazuski, and Mr. Van Diver's time ceded by Alicia Nichols for a total of 4 minutes.
Thanks so much, Madam City Clerk. I'm here today from the Sherman National Security Project. We're a national security think tank and action tank based out of D.C. Before I get started, I want to thank Councilmember Ward, Councilmember Alvarez, and Councilmember Gomez for working with us on these issues. And I want to particularly commend Councilmember Kate for decrying this executive order a couple weeks ago. We already have an extensive process in place and a demonstrated capacity to safely vet refugees. But rather than strengthen it, President Trump's executive order simply seeks to shut the program down. In fact, every single person up on that dais represents somebody who has served our country, and they're not even from here. They fought their own countrymen for our safety. And the process by which they've had to undergo a 2 to 3 year process is already good enough. It's already extreme. So the idea that this is extreme vetting is frankly absurd, and it's dangerous to our national security. These folks are dying while we wait around to get our act together. Their families are dying after they get over here and still wait longer for us to get our act together. The process is so thorough. We have the FBI, the State Department, the National Counterterrorism Center, and other tools, others like biometric data, interviews, background checks, and more. The bottom line is that refugees are the most well-vetted group of individuals entering our country. And they also happen to be predominantly women and children seeking safety while their homeland is in jeopardy. The fact is that we can stay safe and welcome refugees at the same time, and anyone, including President Trump, who claims otherwise, is being deceitful about our capabilities and cruel to the most vulnerable people on the planet. Banning groups from being in the United States is as ineffective at making us safer as it is offensive to our values. Our national security officials already work very hard to prevent people who would do us harm from entering the country. What we need is real comprehensive immigration reform, and we know that in San Diego. We live 15 minutes away from the border here. We need realistic and reasonable immigration reform like a roadmap to citizenship for aspiring Americans who are already here and living in legal limbo. Judging by his executive orders, however, President Trump is instead focused on leveraging a narrative of fear to punish local leaders who don't subscribe to his dark vision by threatening sanctuary cities. He seeks to put law enforcement and families alike at risk of trauma and injury, and he pushes his wasteful and ineffective border wall. We know that the border wall doesn't work. How many holes are in the? I'm sure many of you have done tours down there at the border, and you've seen all the holes in the border wall. It doesn't work. Immigration makes America stronger and richer, and it keeps us true to our founding values. President Trump's policies ignore all of that in service of spending wastefully on a wall, removing local authority from cities, putting all kinds of Americans at risk. The best thing that we can do as a city is to join this Amicus brief and send the message to America that we, the people who really understand this, because we're on the border, we're the largest major city on a border, we got to send the message that we get it and that this is the wrong way of doing business and that it harms our national security by telling people, particularly those interpreters who've served our country, that no matter what they do, they're not good enough to get over here. And that's, to me, it's shameful. I know that myself and several like me looked them in the eyes and said, if you help us, we'll help you. And we're not doing that. So please join the Amicus brief. I hope it's a unanimous decision there in closed session. It shouldn't even be a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger Ogden, followed by Karen Ramis, followed by Bob Kaczewski, followed by Daniel Smichowski. Mr. Ogden, please go ahead.
I believe the council should focus on local problems rather than appealing as it might be to you to try to delve into foreign policy. It might make you feel important, but I don't think you can have much impact there, whatever you do. So I think it's just gratuitous. So why now? I think it was not just the previous speaker's recommendation, but Trump has already said that he may rescind this order this week in a couple of days and write a new one so that it doesn't go before the court. So I think what you're doing now will have no positive impact at all, but we will draw the negative consequences from your decision if you join the Amicus brief. You can only hurt San Diego residents, and San Diego already has quite a reputation as an anti-Trump city. And given the mayor's remarks, I think when he goes to D.C. to seek funding for federal programs, he's going to be about as welcome as an Ebola victim. If you think about it, immigration and refugee issues have always been about nationality, ethnicity, and religion. If we weren't able to prioritize based on those factors, would we have been able to prioritize Jewish refugees to come during World War II? Would we have been able to decline ethnic Germans that were more likely to be Nazis at that time? Those were decisions based on religion and ethnicity. And so we need to be able to base our priorities in immigration and refugees on those factors also. I think San Diegans would be shocked to learn that about 40 or 50,000 refugees from Islamic...
Sir, your time is up, please. Thank you.
Karen Ramis, followed by Bob Kaczewski, followed by Daniel Smichowski.
Good morning, council members. I'm very disappointed to see that my council member is not in his seat right now. That is council member Mark Kersey from the 5th District. I'm from Scripps Ranch. And I came here to specifically share with him that his constituents are watching his vote. Are any of you here a part of indivisible groups? Me too. And for anybody up there who is unfamiliar with what an indivisible group is, we're holding our elected officials personally responsible for your votes. He's making quite a statement right here, right now. And what I'm going to say is we are watching his vote, and we are going to hold him accountable. Oh, there he is. Thank you, Councilmember Kersey. Councilmember Kersey, I'm Karen Ramis from your district. I am a facilitator of an indivisible group in your district, and we are strongly urging you to vote yes. I understand that you are from Ohio, sir. Is that correct? I read that on Wikipedia. I am a second-generation native San Diegan, and I'd like to share with you what makes San Diego America's finest city. Our immigrants and our refugees, sir. We're watching your vote. I strongly urge you to vote yes. Thank you very much, council members.
Thank you. Bob Kaczewski. Bob Kaczewski, followed by Daniel Smiechowski, followed by John Mattis.
This is the law. There are two issues here. One is law, one is emotion. The law, 8 U.S.C. 1182, inadmissible aliens, paragraph F, suspension of entry or imposition of restrictions by president. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. That's the law. Now, if you want to change the law, you can follow Mr. Peters and go to Washington. He's been there a number of years. I haven't seen him propose to change this law. If you want to change the law, you do it through politics. You don't do it through legal means or by filing legal actions which are in direct contrast with the law. The law is the law.
Excuse me, just hold on one second, sir. Audience, again, I'm going to ask you to please extend courtesy to others and allow each speaker the opportunity to address the council. This is my last warning on that, okay? You won't like the second warning. All right, please, you'll get a couple of seconds on the clock. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you very much. I would like to use this outburst as an indication of the lack of understanding that most of these people have of this country. We are a nation of laws. The laws matter. It's not what you feel or what you want. You use what you feel and what you want to change the laws, but the laws are the laws and the laws are for everybody. The rudeness of this group speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel Smiechowski, followed by John Mattis, who will be with Beth Herman and Chris Barroso, followed by Jessica Brunn.
Thank you. Honorable board, fellow citizens, how about the incorporeity of the law, the immaterial nature of the law and morality? I'm here, my neighbor, Bishop McElroy, my friend Imam Taha, the Jewish community of San Diego, and everyone else in San Diego. Let me begin by mentioning on June 17th, 1885, a frigate in Normandy was loaded with the Statue of Liberty, and it arrived in New York Harbor. My mother lived through the Normandy invasion on those shores, with bombs falling on her home. My father saved her during the war. She came to America. She had a 10th grade education. She died at the age of 52 years old. But she attained a PhD with highest honors from UCLA and was on the faculty senate at Mesa College, and a professor, played the cello in a Catholic church, was a model long-distance swimmer, made a recording of French language. My family is chock full of immigrants from Yugoslavia, from Poland, from Italy, from Ireland, from France. I represent the group of 1,000 for the San Diego City Council in an election coming up. And I'm speaking for all my supporters.
Sir, I'm so sorry. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John Mattis. And John Mattis will have Beth Herman and Chris Barroso standing with you. You'll be followed by Jessica Brunn, followed by Greg Bullion.
Hi, I'm John Mattis, and I'm speaking on behalf of the San Diego Progressive Democrats. I'd like to address an economic issue that impacts this city and impacts so many cities that are on the cusp of becoming innovation centers for our country. Ask yourself, why did 100 of the most innovative companies in our country stand with the state of Washington? Why did they speak up? They spoke up because they understand the implications of the ban. The ban prevents the most innovative companies in America from bringing in talented people from around the world, bringing in talented people so that we can have the innovations, so we can have the progress that this country has made people rich, prosperous, and has grown communities by bringing in people from afar. So that's why 100 companies have stood with the state of Washington, and I urge that you consider the economic issue here. But more importantly, let's talk about the moral issue. The ban is not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's an American issue. How would our forefathers have felt had they come to Ellis Island and said, "You're banned"? What would we say to people coming to the Statue of Liberty that says, "We ban people because we don't like the color of their skin or their religion"? How could we face them? What would we say to them? You know, as an American city, that this city is based on an immigrant population that has made us strong. In the future, we can uphold American values by speaking on behalf of these people. Let me conclude by saying, we are too great a country, too good a people to turn our backs on refugees. I urge you, stand with them.
Thank you. Jessica Brunn. Jessica Brunn, please come forward. And when your name is called, there are seats in the front. Please come forward. Jessica Brunn, followed by Greg Bullion, followed by Robert McNamara.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am a scientist, and I came to San Diego 6 years ago to do my PhD studies. And I just want to inform you that 1 in 6 scientists is an immigrant, and this ban has directly impacted the scientific community here in San Diego. Science is a huge economic driver of our economy, and I would really encourage you to protect immigrants working in science, protect refugees, and please join in this amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Bullion, followed by Robert McNamara, followed by Kathy Smith.
Hello. I've been volunteering to register new citizens at the naturalization ceremony for the past 12 years, and I've seen the excitement about becoming a new citizen. And I grew up in Hawaii in the 60s with people who lived through the internment camps and had their relatives in them. And when this happened, we're now discussing keeping America safe. But to be clear, over a year ago, he started his campaign with the statement, Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what is going on. It is obvious that the point of the Muslim ban is to instruct Americans that Muslims are an enemy, a small minority that we are supposed to see as our neighbors and fellow citizens, but as an international threat. And when you slice off one segment of the population, you can slice off more. And I reject that premise. I stand with my Muslim brothers and sisters and immigrants and ask you to please join the amicus brief.
Thank you. Robert McNamara, followed by Kathy Smith, followed by Charles Best.
Good morning, council members. Robert McNamara, District 3. There comes a time in many people's lives when they are faced with the choice between doing what they know is right and doing what is personally advantageous, whether financially or otherwise. Today, the city is faced with a similar choice. I call upon the City Council to step up and do the right thing and join the people of the state of Washington in challenging the President's restrictive executive order. If there are financial sanctions, the people of San Diego are strong enough to withstand them. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Smith, followed by Charles Best, followed by Guinevere Zieser. Is Kathy Smith present? If not, then Charles Best, please come forward. You'll be followed by Guinevere Zieser, Z-I-H-S-E-R. Ms. Zieser, please come forward. There are 2 seats in the front. You'll be followed by Rebecca Hook-Held. Mr. Best?
Good morning. I'd like to go on to two-pronged reasons for supporting the ban, or not supporting the amicus brief. One is, they're both economic. One is the economic ties we have with Mexico and the demonstrations and unfriendliness throughout Mexico at this time. The other is with the University of California at San Diego, half of whose students are foreign. Okay? Okay?
Thank you. Guinevere Zieser, please come forward. You'll be followed by Rebecca Hook-Held, who will be followed by Emilio R. Galvan, followed by Catherine Thiemann, and there are seats in the front. Please come forward.
Hi. I actually didn't realize I signed up to speak. But I definitely want the city of San Diego to please join with Washington. We're an international city, a city of immigrants. We all have immigrant friends, family, coworkers. As a city and as a nation, we're better than this. And I urge you to please join them.
Thank you. Rebecca Hook-Held, followed by Emilio R. Galvan, followed by Catherine Thiemann.
Great. Good morning. My name is Rebecca Hook-Held. I'm here on behalf of the San Diego LGBT Community Center, urging the City Council to join the City of Chicago's amicus brief, the State of Washington versus Donald Trump. Immigrant rights are LGBTQ rights. Many immigrants are members of the LGBT community and our families. We are an intersectional community that is deeply impacted by immigration policy, particularly our communities of color and trans communities. Our region is home to the nation's 4th largest population of people from countries banned under this executive order. We as San Diegans must stand up for our loved ones, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, and community members. We urge you to join this amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Emilio R. Galvan, followed by Catherine Thiemann, followed by Monica Bauer, followed by Janet Farrell.
Good morning. My name is Emilio Galvan, and I am a juvenile justice advocate. I have worked with undocumented and refugee students as well as at-risk youth from La Misión de San Francisco to here in my home city of San Diego, and specifically in the Southeast. I come before you not to ask, but to demand that each and every one of you act. There has been no greater time than the necessity of action, and it's evident that your constituents demand of you to act. And for the gentleman that had the amusing PowerPoint there, I see your statue and I raise you the Constitution of the United States, sir. And I would like to read from the preamble. It says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States." This silly pamphlet, 13 pages that were cut in half, folded and stapled and sent to me free by the ACLU, is what governs us all, and it is inherent of the tenets that we hold true, which is freedom, liberty, and justice. Thank you, and I ask on behalf of my students that you support this city and this council in joining the amicus brief against the President of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Thiemann, followed by Monica Bauer, followed by Janet Farrell. Is Catherine present? Please come forward. Okay, Ms. Bauer, if you'll come forward, you'll have 4 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Monica Bauer, and I represent the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League filed an amicus brief with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit supporting the state of Washington's challenge to President Trump's executive order on immigration and refugees. ADL's brief urges the court to block enforcement of the order, asserting that implementation would almost certainly cause irreparable harm to countless people. The brief traces America's history as a nation dedicated to ideals of equality, liberty, and justice, noting that throughout U.S. history, and often with respect to immigration, our ideals have been tested. Sometimes the nation has risen to the challenge, but at other times, when prejudice and fear predominate over reason and compassion, we falter, often with devastating consequences. Our country is at its best when it honors its commitments to its core values. This nation has been and should be a beacon of hope for refugees from war-torn countries and for victims of persecution. Many of these refugees have contributed immeasurably to the fabric of America. The ADL brief points to 3 specific examples in history where the nation did not live up to the ideal of America as a nation of immigrants. The tragedy of the vessel of the St. Louis, filled with Jews fleeing the Nazis who were turned away from America's shores in 1939 and sent back to Europe, where many of the passengers perished in the Holocaust. The Chinese exclusion, when a series of laws led to the exclusion of thousands of Chinese laborers in the 1800s. And finally, the internment of Japanese during World War II, when approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans, including 70,000 citizens, were sent to internment camps in the United States in the wake of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. In conclusion, enforcing the executive order risks once again sacrificing the nation's core values in favor of prejudice and fear, a sacrifice that history has repeatedly proven has profound consequences both to the persons who suffer as a result and to the still vibrant vision of the shining city on the hill. We urge you to sign on to this amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Farrell, followed by Susan DeBoer, followed by Marco Briones, followed by Jasmine Zafra.
Good morning, council members. I am Dr. Janet Farrell, and I'm here representing the San Diego Psychological Association. We as psychologists urge the city to join in filing the Amicus Curiae brief in Washington State versus Donald Trump. We believe that the restrictions on refugees and other visitors are likely to compound the stress and trauma already experienced by populations at risk for discrimination. Based on extensive research and clinical experience, we know that refugees experience stress, trauma, and other serious mental health problems. Also, serious mental health consequences for immigrant children and their parents who have been forced to leave the United States, which may magnify earlier trauma experienced in their countries of origin.
Thank you. Susan DeBoer. You'll be followed by Marco Briones, followed by Jasmine Zafra, followed by Kirk Hensler.
This is such an important thing, an important subject to speak on. My words again. I don't know if I can find the words, but I can find the emotion. We talked about the Brown Act and making sure that public comment. Do we need more time to hear from other people? I don't know. But I do know this, that I can't believe that this city would not join. But I also have to hope that if you do join this Amicus, whatever it's called, in support of the plaintiffs of the state of Washington, that you also keep in mind the lost souls of the people here in San Diego already. They're out there. Because it's very scary thinking when I hear of the internment camps of the intake centers floated about by different people. talked about by putting people into places. So I'll be really wanting to watch that as this goes forward, and also when it comes for the people who are out there without shelter right now, and making sure that they'll have their freedom to be able to speak up where they will be also. But every person should be able to come into this country, and people need to be able to feel free and alive, and every child deserves what our children have here and better.
Thank you. Marco Briones, followed by Jasmine Zafra, followed by Kirk Hensler, followed by Megan Afshan.
Good morning, council members and Madam City Attorney. My name is Marco Briones, and I'm from the Center on Policy Initiatives. We're here today to urge the City Council and Mayor Faulkner to join other cities in an Amicus Curiae brief, the State of Washington versus Donald Trump, to denounce the U.S. government's suspension of refugee admissions and an unconstitutional ban on admissions of citizens from 7 Muslim-majority countries. The ban has a far-reaching effect for our cross-border region. The San Ysidro-Tijuana border is vital to San Diego's economic well-being and growth. A 2014 study by USC's Center on the Study of Immigrant Integration found that immigrants contribute $27 billion to the San Diego and Imperial County's gross domestic product. San Diego is home to the 4th largest population of people from the countries banned under the executive order. The executive order violates due process, it's discriminatory, and is inconsistent with San Diego's values, and is bad for our local economy. Joining the Amicus Curiae brief is not only a smart thing to do, it's the right thing to do. As a border city with a vibrant immigrant and refugee population, we should be a leading voice for the responsible migration and resettlement. This is an important step in the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jasmine Zafra, followed by Kirk Hensler, followed by Megan Afshan, followed by Lori Gilmore.
Good morning, council members and City Attorney Mara Elliott. My name is Hasmin Zafra, and I'm an organizer at Mid-City CAN. We work with mainly refugee and immigrant community members, and I wanted to share with you today the story of one of the residents that I work with. I wish that she could be here today to share her story with you, but she's a college student and she has class. Isha came to City Heights when she was just 8 years old as a Somali refugee. She had no knowledge of English and was placed in a 3rd grade classroom where she struggled to understand what was going on and faced discrimination from her peers because of the hijab that she wore. Nevertheless, Isha dedicated herself to learning. She applied herself and read and absorbed all the information that she could. And it was this experience, as well as the support of her teacher, that inspired her to decide to pursue a career in education. I have come to know Isha as a true leader in her community. She has a lot of responsibility in her family life. She is the main interpreter for her parents. She takes her her younger siblings to school, and she also makes meals for them at home. In addition, she's a full-time student. It would be easy for her to say that that's enough burden, but it's not. She wants to be a leader in her community. She wants to make a difference in this community that she has grown up in and that has showed her so many opportunities. This past November, she participated in Get Out the Vote efforts, and she voted for the very first time. She described to me how proud she was, the feeling of immense satisfaction that she got from being able to partake in this process. There are many other stories like Isha's, and when we turn our backs on refugees, it is these stories that we are slamming the door on. This is why we urge the City Council members to vote to sign on to the Amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirk Hensler, followed by Megan Afshan, followed by Lori Gilmore, and Kirk Hensler has time seated by Alexis Asquith for a total of 4 minutes.
Great, thank you. Good morning. My name is Kirk Hensler. I own a media production company in South Park, and I'm a member of the Main Street Alliance of San Diego. I'm here today to encourage our city and the council to support the State of Washington v. Donald Trump amicus brief. I'm a registered independent. I think that's important to note because none of what I'm doing here has anything to do with partisanship. I believe in the safety of our country, and I respect the legal process for attaining refugee status and residency. I also believe in the Constitution. The travel ban and the executive order to build a wall on the Mexican border are the first steps under an unstable administration to criminalize faith, nationality, and people of color. It is such a strange time where hatred and racism are becoming acceptable again, but it has caused many passionate people to go out and march for what they believe in. Meanwhile, and I had this note revised on my original draft, many other people, particularly Republican politicians, are sitting on the sidelines to see how it's going to play out. And I want to point out that Republicans are literally sitting on the sidelines in this council, with the exception of Mr. Cate. So thank you for sitting through our hearings. Trump's people are out there improperly chanting USA when they really mean to be chanting white America. And many politicians are telling us to be patient, but when dealing with executive orders that violate the foundation that America was built upon, there is no time for patience. Anything short of immediate action is cowardice. There is a chance for elected officials to show true courage and to be strong leaders. Immigrants aren't coming here to harm us. They are coming here to work hard and create a better life, the same reason our ancestors settled here. They create jobs and they stimulate the economy. And as of 2014, 28% of all new entrepreneurs were immigrants. So, I ask you please to do your job and support this amicus brief against a man who is literally threatening our economy and our culture. I want to be proud of this city, and I want to continue to benefit from all the good things that diversity and equality bring us as businesses and as a community. And the last thing, to the gentleman who out of context cited the law, perhaps you're having a hard time with the word detrimental. I wanted to clear that up for you. It actually means negative, which immigrants are not. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Megan Afshan, followed by Lori Gilmore, followed by Genevieve Suzuki, followed by David Wormuth, and Ms. Afshan has time ceded by Ali Asghar Afshan for a total of 4 minutes.
Good morning, respected City Council members, Madam City Attorney, and my fellow San Diegans. My name is Mijgan Afshan, and I am the daughter of refugees that moved here 35 years ago. San Diego welcomed my family with open arms, and we must continue our city's tradition of inclusion. My father, Ali Asghar Afshan, who is with me here today, retired from 30 years with the MTS, the San Diego Trolley. We have built our lives here and consider San Diego our only home. Like me, there are thousands of my fellow immigrants and refugees who are productive and positive members of society. Coming full circle, it has been my pleasure and privilege serving our vulnerable refugee and immigrant populations living in City Heights, Rancho Bernardo, downtown, just to name a few areas, during the past 3 years while working at the International Rescue Committee. Of the 350 or more people I have served and continue to work with, the majority are from Muslim nations such as Somalia, Iran, Sudan, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. Many of them are also SIVs who served as translators and worked with the U.S. to help bring us, help us against the fight on terror. Refugees are the most vetted people that come to the United States, and it is a process that takes up to 2 years. Our great nation was built by people seeking refuge from persecution and war. Refugees are not the enemy, and the suspension of the refugee program is a blow to our own economic growth as a city, and many of our newly resettled refugees work within tourism and transportation industries here in San Diego. Last but not least, as a Muslim woman and an active member of the Islamic Educational San Diego, Center of San Diego, which is one of 12 mosques here in San Diego, I urge you to vote in favor of joining cities like Chicago and stopping this Muslim ban and signing on to this amicus brief. This religious bias against Muslims is unconstitutional and goes against our beautiful Bill of Rights and ensures freedom of religion. Please don't turn your backs on the Constitution, vulnerable refugees, and the Muslim community during this very difficult time. Thank you, and please sign on to the amicus brief.
Thank you. Lori Gilmore, followed by Genevieve Suzuki, followed by David Wormuth, followed by Mark Arabo. And please come forward when your name is called. There are seats in the front for speakers.
Hello, I'm Lori Gilmore. I'm District 3. Thank you for hearing from me today. I very political, but I don't usually come to these meetings, but this is very important to me. We are a complete nation of immigrants. Nobody here doesn't come from an immigrant. And it's so important that San Diego, a great place of diversity, stands up to the xenophobic and racist policies that are trying to be implemented in our country. It's unacceptable. We don't want to live somewhere where everybody looks exactly the same, thinks exactly the same, does everything exactly the same. It's great to be different. It's great to have a different religion. It's great to look different. It's great to love whoever you want to love. I urge you desperately to support this Amicus brief against the tyranny that's trying to come down our wonderful country. Thank you.
Thank you. Genevieve Suzuki, followed by David Wormuth, followed by Mark Arabo, followed by Jessica Jolette. And please come forward. There are 2 seats in the front for speakers.
Good morning. My name is Genevieve Suzuki, and I am here on behalf of the San Diego Japanese American Citizens League. It is fitting that in 5 days, our country commemorates the Day of Remembrance, a day to remember the United States internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. The Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians released a report entitled Personal Justice Denied in 1997, and I urge everyone to read it and learn from it. Within that report is a statement that rings strikingly true to what is happening today. The broad historical causes which shaped these decisions were race prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership. On February 19, 1942, 75 years ago, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, a blemish on our national history, when 120,000 Japanese Americans were forcibly placed in internment camps, despite the fact not a single documented act of espionage, sabotage, or fifth column activity was committed by an American citizen of Japanese ancestry or by a resident Japanese alien on the West Coast. I'd like to read from the National JACL statement against President Trump's executive orders relating to immigration. During World War II, the experience of Japanese Americans went beyond being forced from their homes and being detained without due process. Japanese Americans were vilified and targeted because of their race. Our country abandoned them, with some being subjected to deportation. Their abandonment by our government left many with a psychological trauma that for some would last a lifetime. Racism and wartime fears caused political leaders to enforce discriminatory policies they knew to be unwarranted and unnecessary. A narrative of historical facts has thoroughly repudiated the governmental actions that flowed from Executive Order 9066. We urge the San Diego JACL to sign the amicus brief.
Thank you. David Wormuth, followed by Mark Arabo, followed by Jessica Jolette, followed by Roberta Alexander.
Hello, Madam President, Madam City Attorney, and council members. My name is David Wormuth, and we've had lots of people up here already talking about the real harm that are being done to people with the President's executive order. I would like to talk to my council member in District 7 about another group that hasn't been discussed. You know, in our council district, you might know that we have a lot of military families. I suspect that the other council members can say that as well. This executive order paints a target on the back of every military family because it gives truth to the lie that of the worst propaganda from Al-Qaeda, ISIL, all of our enemies, that we don't care for Muslims. Our only interest is to make sure that they don't get here. That makes them a target for the violence that follows. We have to do something to make sure that our members of the military, our members of the State Department are protected, and that we show that this is not what America is about. This is certainly not what San Diego is about. A couple months ago, I was in the audience when you pledged to defend the Constitution. This executive order is absolutely contrary to that, and I urge you to support the amicus brief.
Thank you. Mark Arabo, followed by Jessica Jolette, followed by Roberta Alexander, followed by Gretchen Burns-Bergman.
Madam President, council members, very good to see everyone. Very proud of every one of you, proud of our city attorney for taking the lead. My name is Mark Arabo. I'm here on behalf of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation and the Neighborhood Market Association. We founded our foundation in 2014 when persecution was at its greatest threat. I myself am a child of an immigrant that was a refugee to San Diego. This is a very personal issue, not just for me, but for 70,000 Iraqi Christians in San Diego. It's an issue not just for Christians because of who they are, but because of who we are as Americans. That a refugee is a refugee, period. Regardless if you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Yazidi or any part of any community. What makes America so special is, what bonds us is our values. And everything that this administration is doing is going against our values as Americans. And so I urge the council, I urge the city to take a leading force against President Trump and his unlawful acts. This is a matter of life or death, and it's not a partisan issue. It's not a political issue. It's a humanitarian one. I remember that history repeats itself. In 1939, the MS Lewis came to our shores with the Jewish folks that were the people that were leaving Europe. And at that time, we turned them away. It was shameful then. It'll be shameful now if we do the same. That boat then is our boat today, and the people then are our people today, regardless of who we believe in. Thank you for everything you do, and I hope you guys will lead the way, and happy Valentine's Day as well.
Thank you. Jessica Jolette. Jessica Jolette, followed by Roberta Alexander, followed by Gretchen Burns-Bergman, followed by Jennifer Bonnichter.
Hi, Council. How are you doing today? Thank you for being patient and listening to all of our comments. I'm not going to add a lot, except to say I'm representing Pillars of the Community, and we are a Muslim faith-based organization. We're built on the principles of Islam, of faith and of love and of fairness. And I know I can speak as a resident from District 4, that District 4 is better because of the Muslims that live there and the work that they do. So we support signing the amicus brief today, and we hope you do the right thing. And yes, Councilmember Kate, thank you for staying with us. We recognize and see who went behind the wall.
Hello, I'm Roberta Alexander, and I'm happy to say that Georgette Gomez is a council member from my district. And I'm here to represent the American Federation of Teachers, Local 1931. We are the community college. We represent the community college professors and staff for the San Diego Community College District, as well as the Grossmont Community College District. And I don't want to repeat all the things that have been said today, even though I had my nice little speech together for y'all. I just want to say that we have always supported our immigrant communities in a pretty strong way here in San Diego, and I don't want to see that turned around. And I encourage you, please, to support the amicus brief against this unlawful, unjust, and unthoughtful ban on refugees from those particular 7 countries. Thank you.
Gretchen Burns-Bergman. You'll be followed by Jennifer Bonnichter, followed by Greg Knox, followed by Ramla Sahi.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Burns-Bergman, and I'm here representing A New Path, Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing. I'm also the lead organizer of our International Moms United to End the War on Drugs campaign. We understand the intersection of the war on drugs, racism, the war on poverty, and the war on immigrants, and we uphold and defend all human rights. We are a nation of immigrants. Our diversity makes us strong. We challenge this ban on immigrants, this ban on Muslims. It's unconstitutional and it's inhumane. It goes against all American and human values of tolerance and compassion. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. That's who we are, and that's why I urge you to support this amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Bonakdar. Jennifer Bonakdar. If she's not present, Greg Knox, please come forward. You'll be followed by Ramla Sahid, followed by Kelly King.
Good morning and happy Valentine's Day. I'm Greg Knox from Normal Heights, Chris Ward's district. It's a pleasure to see you all, and I appreciate your hearing me this morning. I'm asking that you sign the amicus brief on the side of the states of Washington and Minnesota versus Donald Trump, because the case and the argument that the White House has made, specifically that their actions are unreviewable, is a prescription for dictatorship and one that we must fight now. I ask you on behalf of San Diego, its economy, and its security to join the case now against Donald Trump. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Ramla Sahid also has Mustafa Dib, Ismahan Abdullahi, and Fernanda Flores standing with you. Are each of you going to speak 2 minutes apiece? No? Just
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. My name is Ramla Sahid. I'm a former refugee from Somalia. My family grew up in San Diego. My brothers were born in San Diego, one of the few natives left, I think. And I just want to say Americans are standing up and fighting back. We are fighting for our families and for our nation's soul and our city's soul. The spontaneous rallies at the nation's airports, the quick legal action by our litigators, the phone calls that have shut down the Capitol switchboard, the participation of so many constituents at town hall meetings, and the chorus of condemnation, all following the massive women's marches, the largest demonstrations in the nation's history, shows that we won't stop until 45 is stopped. Here's what this vote means for us. Barbara Bree, Chris Ward, Chris Kate, David Alvarez, Georgette Gomez, we're counting on you. You either stand with our most vulnerable families and say that they belong in San Diego, where many of us have had children and have raised our children, or you label them as foreign enemies, U.S. citizens and their families as foreign enemies. And I hope you stay with us. I hope that you vote to sign on to this letter, sign on to the amicus brief. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity for speaking. My name is Mustafa Deeb. I am a Syrian refugee. I arrived to USA before 2 years. And I am working now as a community organizer with PANA. We ask you to take the steps necessary to ensure that our city creates space in which all residents feel safe. We must honor our nation's long-standing, constitutionally rooted traditions of protecting individual rights and freedom. Today, I ask you to stand with me and my family. Your decision will mean that you either see me as a part of this beautiful city, or send me a message: I am and my family don't belong. Thank you.
Good morning. It's an honor to speak here. My name is Ismahan Abdullahi, and I'm the Director of Community Partnership and Civic Engagement of PANA, and a proud constituent of District 9 with Councilmember Georgette Gomez. We value unity and inclusion, especially here in San Diego. And we've heard so much from the audience and representatives and leaders of the community to ask our council members to stand on the right side of history. The richness of voices and experiences that can be found in our schools, our businesses, our places of worship make us the finest city. We are united by a common drive to work hard to provide for ourselves and for our children. And our progress collectively is built upon a foundation of mutual respect and understanding.
Today, we are all here to ask the City Council to memorialize our commitment to unity and inclusion by signing on to the Amicus brief championed by the City of Chicago in State of Washington versus Trump. We have the fourth largest population of people in the United States impacted by the executive order targeting refugees from 7 Muslim majority countries. Our city has the moral responsibility to speak on behalf of its residents. Silence means that we are not on the right side of history and we are in compliance with evil. We must not be silent, we must act, and we must stand tall and pursue what it truly means to represent our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly King is our next speaker. Kelly King, followed by Karim Boris, followed by Brad Keeler, followed by Brisa Johnson.
Hello, my name is Kelly King. Even as a child, I was imbued by the majesty and beauty of the great American documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and of course, the quintessentially American ideals expressed on the Statue of Liberty. These are some of the highest ideals humankind has ever striven for. More importantly, these are the ideas that bind Americans together. We are not a nation that came from the same place, that have the same religion, that have the same language. We are bound by these ideals. Today, we are facing a challenge of fear, bigotry, and demagoguery. What you do here today will be remembered. It is fitting that this coming Sunday, February 19th, is the 75th anniversary of Remembrance Day for Japanese internment. I beg you to remember that what you do will be remembered 20 years, 40 years, 75 years from now for San Diegans. Please, be brave and do the right thing.
Thank you. Karim Boris. Karim, followed by Brad Keeler, followed by Brisa Johnson, followed by Aaron Grassi.
Yes, hello, I'm Karim Bory. Brad Keeler won't be able to join us because he's a business owner who had to go on the busiest day of the year run his business. I'm the director of the Main Street Alliance of San Diego, and I came with Kirk Hensler, who you heard earlier today, and I wish I could just leave it at that. We have businesses in each one of your districts who are willing to come here and lose money to tell you how important this is. This is not a bad bottom line for them. So I ask you, when's the last time you see businesses mobilize like that to tell you that issues matter to them? So they're here because they are united in their opposition to Trump's campaign of fear-mongering and xenophobia. And it's why we ask you to give serious consideration to the city attorney's recommendation to join the Amicus brief. So Brad is an immigrant, and I wish I could capture in a bottle the way that Kirk spoke, because he was just as passionate. And just like we had the owners of Cueva Bar, the owner of Modern Architecture Services, the owner of Queen Bee's, all immigrants, and their counterparts for non-immigrants who wanted to be here today, but this is the busiest business day of the year for many of them. We came here to remind you that immigrants are innovators. About 25% of the engineering and technology companies started in the US between 2006 and 2012 have at least one key founder who is an immigrant. And just in the engineering and high-tech sectors, who we just made a proclamation for today, immigrant-founded firms employed some 560,000 workers in the U.S. and generated $63 billion in sales in 2012. So we are speaking on behalf of every immigrant and of every business owner in this country when we take a position on this amicus. Immigrants bring vital revenue to San Diego. Refugees contribute almost twice as much in tax as they cost in state-funded services. Resettlement brings federal dollars into the community. They hire employees, they rent apartments, they spend locally. So these immigration policies, they could cost taxpayers between 3.5 million jobs, at the best estimate, over the next 4 years, and more than $117 billion over 10 years. So I appreciate your time. I really ask you that you consider this from the economic impact perspective and hear your local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Brisa Johnson. Brisa Johnson, followed by Aaron Grassi. Please come forward when your name is called. There are seats in the front, followed by Fayez Nawabi.
Good morning, council members, city attorney. My name is Brisa Johnson. I am with Alliance San Diego.
San Diego has a long history of welcoming immigrants and refugees, and today, we have an opportunity to say that we are proud of that. Alliance San Diego urges the San Diego City Council to join the City of Chicago in filing an amicus brief in the state of Washington versus Donald Trump. We must come together and denounce the U.S. government's suspension of refugee admissions and its unconstitutional ban on admissions of citizens of 7 Muslim majority countries. It's moments of crisis such as this that we define who we are for years to come. We have worked with the San Diego City Council in the past to issue declarations and resolutions in support of immigrants and refugees. And today, we urge the San Diego City Council to be on the right side of history again. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Grassi. Aaron Grassi, followed by Fayez Nawabi, followed by William Johnson.
Hi, good afternoon, Council. My name is Aaron Suramoto Grassi. I stand before you. Well, first of all, I'm a resident in D7. I'm kind of disappointed my council member isn't here, but I stand before you as the granddaughter of Japanese Americans who were imprisoned during World War II. My grandmother was age 7 when she was sent to Topaz, and my grandfather was 12 when he was sent to Amache. And so I can talk to you about what the implications of such a ban means and what it leads to. I can talk to you about what it means for our families and the impact that it has had on my family generations, multiple generations forward. I can tell you what it means, and I can tell you that your actions today will have a much stronger, it will have a much bigger impact than you could even imagine. And so I'm urging you today to stand on the right side of history, to stand with us, with our immigrant communities, with our refugee communities, and with those in our city as one city, and to stand on the side of inclusion. Please support the amicus brief.
Thank you. Fayez Nawabi. Fayez Nawabi, followed by William Johnson, followed by Wendy Batterson, followed by Azian Rim.
I want to thank our council members and our Madam City Attorney. My name is Fayez Nawabi, and I work with the Council on American Islamic Relations, protecting the civil liberties of over 100,000 Muslim Americans that are living in San Diego County. So seeing our 2 council members not here is very upsetting. And our community is watching very closely on who's going to be voting which way right now. And I urge our council members to join the amicus brief. This is very personal to me because my family, there were refugees that escaped Afghanistan when the communists came and took over and killed many of my family members. And we were brought here by President Ronald Reagan. So this is not an issue of Democrats versus Republicans. This is a human issue. And our vote right now, we have to look at our fellow humans. There was someone that was sitting here and is not present right now talking about how she was so thankful for an organization that was similar to 211, which is a great organization, for helping her out in her time of need. There are millions of people that are refugees right now in escaping war-torn countries. I had a fancy speech ready, but after seeing our 2 council members not here, this is very upsetting. And I'm very happy with District 6 council member Chris Cate for being here. He is my council member, and I'm really happy. And our community is watching. I'm saying this right now. We have over 100,000 Muslim Americans living in San Diego County, and this amicus brief is going to affect all of us, and we urge our council members to sign on to this amicus brief. Thank you very much.
Thank you. William Johnson, followed by Wendy Batterson, followed by Azian Rim, followed by Becca Toller.
Hi, my name is Will Johnson. I'm the union organizer with United Taxi Workers of San Diego. I come here representing our organization, which is 99% refugee and immigrant. And I also come before you as the grandson of a refugee from Russia as well. And I just wanted to tell you about the cousin of our union president, Mikhail Hussein. Mikhail's cousin, Ali, has been in Dadaab refugee camp for 15 years now. His two sons and his wife, Rama, have been here in the United States already for 10 years. They've settled down. She owns her own business, and he's been running his own business inside the refugee camp, working on the network infrastructure there. He finally was scheduled to get his visa on February 2nd to come to the United States. He bought his ticket a few hours before the ban was put in place. And this ban is already affecting our communities. It's already affecting our families. And we need to stand with the city of Chicago and the state of Washington against this thing. It's our moral obligation to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy Batterson, followed by Azian Rim, followed by Becca Toller.
Hi, I'm very disappointed my councilperson isn't here. I come here, my name is Wendy Batterson. I'm a resident of San Diego, a homeowner for 8 years in Point Loma. And I am a grandchild of immigrants that came during World War I, fleeing religious persecution as Jews from Turkey. And they were welcomed here. We had family that came during World War II, tried to come here and were turned away and died in concentration camps. So I very much resent the man that said how open it was to Jewish refugees during World War II. America was not very open till the very end, when it was very late. I answered a Jewish call to action in La Jolla last week. Over 800 Jews showed up saying we were refugees too. I also am an organizer from the beginning for Women's March San Diego. We had 22,000 expected the day before the march. We were told by police that day they think it was 44,000. Our final number was 100,000 people showed up to march in San Diego. You could confirm that through your police department or however you did it. 100,000 people showed up, and part of our unity principle for Women's March, people say, why weren't all these pro-lifers included? This wasn't an inclusive rally for every single woman. It was for like-minded people to come to stand up together. And one of our principles was for immigrants' rights, Muslim rights, LGBT rights, all rights of all people. As a person that came from New York, that lived there during the 9/11 attack, I do not live in fear. I lost friends in that building. I still do not believe that we need to single out religions, colors, to persecute. There always seems to be a scapegoat when people want to control you through fear. Well, we do not want to be controlled through fear. I love this diversity of this city and New York, and I hope we stand with the immigrants and not with this xenophobe who is imploding. When
Thank
you go
you.
home after this,
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Azian Rim, you'll be followed by Becca Taylor. Becca Taylor after Mr. Rim.
Green City Council. When I think of the First Amendment, I think of freedom of religion. When I think of the 14th Amendment, which is the Civil Rights Amendment, I think about immigrants. When I think about the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your hungry. When I salute the flag, words come to mind: liberty and justice for all. There's two types of people that walk this earth: those who walk in fear, racism, discrimination, and prejudice; those who walk in peace, which I am, kindness, mercy, and understanding. Today, we can make history. As you know, over the years I've been coming before the City Council. I believe strongly in human rights, regardless where you are born or where you come from. Today, we can make a difference. And all due respect to Mrs. Elliott, you made some profound statement that I read in an article a while back, and I quoted before the City Council before, and it always sticks with me. I always contemplate on this. What are we willing to do? Those are some powerful words. And today we are have the opportunity to do the right thing. What are we willing to do? So I welcome refugees. I welcome immigrants. America was founded on refugees and immigrants. This is a nation of diversity, a nation of compassion and understanding. So I hope the City Council will do the right thing. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and everyone else. And, of course, happy Valentine's Day. I love you all.
Thank you. Becca Taylor. Becca Taylor, and then I'd also note that there are an additional 16 speaker slips that will be kept on file in my office with all the other speaker slips. And once Ms. Taylor speaks, that concludes public testimony.
Hey everybody, my name is Becca Taylor. I'm a resident of Ocean Beach. I'm on the town council, a member of Point Loma Democratic Club, Interfaith Center for Worker Justice, and I'm pretty disappointed that our council member Lori Zapf isn't here. One of her talking points during the campaign was that her parents were just first generation Mexican American, here. But at any rate, I just wanted to speak. My background's in gerontology, and as we know, the population of older adults is going to double by 2030. And our immigrant population is what is keeping the dependency ratio, at bay. It is kind of what is putting money, and resources into that. And as a city who's the first one to, enforce have a legally enforceable climate action plan, you'd think we're forward thinkers, but we're kind of short-sighted if we're going to cut out about 39,000 people that we're impacting. We're the fourth largest, population, I think I heard, of residents impacted from those countries. So I just ask that you please sign on to this, not for just our immigrants and everybody and refugees now, but for our future. Think ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public speakers on this item.
Councilmember Gomez, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the public. Thank you for coming out and expressing your opinions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys were pretty good, too, I have to admit. So thank you for that. And due to the time, we will be trailing non-agenda public comment to the end of the 2:00 p.m. council session, and we will also be trailing mayor, council, city attorney, independent budget analyst, and city clerk comment to the end of the 2:00 p.m. council session. We will now adjourn into closed session starting at 1:00 p.m., and we'll reconvene at 2:00 p.m. Thank you, and thank you all.